Hi my loves, welcome back or welcome to my channel. Welcome if you guys are new. I wanted to just have a super cozy sit down video today and talk about some of the most popular series I have been reading at the moment and whether I am going to be continuing them, because I am in the middle of so many series it's not even funny, and I think now and then it's important to kind of just go back through all the series, especially the ones that aren't completed yet, and just decide whether you're going to be continuing them so you know which ones to focus on. Also, if you have similar taste to me, hopefully this can kind of help you get an idea if you want to focus on these series, if you want to venture into these series, or if you're just going to avoid them, because sometimes with all the hype surrounding a lot of series, it can definitely be a little bit intimidating to go into some really hyped up books. So I feel like that's why I'm here. I'm here to go in for you so you know whether you should read them or not. Obviously you can read whatever you want, but yeah, we're just going to have some bookish chats today. I am super excited. So I kind of just have this little curated list that I thought we could go through today. I feel like I have some slightly hot takes, but like, you know, everyone's opinion is welcome here. Everyone's opinion is okay, even if it's very different. So yeah, basically going through some of the most popular series on BookTok, on BookTube, on Bookstagram, just on the internet, fantasy series to be specific, and telling you whether I'm going to be continuing them or I'm going to be DNFing them. As I said, a lot of books like come out with the first book in the series recently, and then the second book is going to be coming out next year or something like that. And I kind of want to prioritize my releases next year. So the first book we're going to be talking about is Diabound by Sable Sorensen. We're getting this one out of the way pretty quickly because I only recently read this. So I did a recent reading vlog on it. I also talked about it in my wrap up, and honestly, I was slightly disappointed with this one. I was kind of hoping for a little bit more with this one. I feel like the whole premise was super promising. I love some direwolves. Like, I absolutely love direwolves. And I love having like a strong animal companion in our book. So if you don't know, in Diabound, we are following Marin. She is looking after her sister and her mum. She's kind of the primary caregiver because her mum is very sick. And one day her sister goes missing. Marin thinks the best chance of her finding her sister is by joining the front line of the soldiers, so she can venture out into the war space where she may have been kidnapped. In this world, there has been a war going on for something like 400 years. However, it just so happens that they are holding the bonding trials at this time. Bonding trials are basically where soldiers see if they can have a bond with a direwolf, which makes you very powerful, basically, like a kind of elite soldier. And all those who don't have bonds with a direwolf can go to the front lines. So, you know, if you're valuable enough to have a bond, you're going to be put into the academy and train with your bond and become a really elite soldier. So Marion has to undergo this before she can become a frontline soldier. So I actually really liked the premise of this. I thought it was a really solid foundation. I was hoping for a little bit more. I didn't love the romance line. That was the main thing that took me out of this. I just felt like it was super predictable, and that may be because I've read a lot of romances now, and I do think you'd have a different experience if you go in expecting a very just fun romancy, whereas I was hoping for a little bit something a little bit unique. I don't know. I just didn't love our characters. So I don't know. I'm pretty 50-50 on this one, but leaning towards probably not going to continue it just because there's other books I want to more. I did think this was a really fun, fast-paced read. Like, I do recommend it. I just don't know it's like the top of my priority to be continuing this series, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's the first series. The next series we're going to be talking about is The Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. Now, if you know me, you probably know that I love Olivia Blake. I absolutely love her writing. I love the characters she creates. I love the world. And for some reason, I'd been putting off The Atlas 6 for a long time. I think because I've seen a lot of like different opinions on it. I've seen a lot of people absolutely love it. I've seen a lot of people absolutely hate it. To be honest, I loved the first like 70% of this book so much. I was enjoying it so much. In The Atlas 6, we are following 6 different protagonists, obviously, and they are kind of fighting for the chance to join the Alexandrian Society, which is like this very elite magical society, and only 5 of those 6 people can join it. So one person will be like kicked out, I guess. I really love the atmosphere of this as well. I thought it was very dark academia, but in like the best way possible. All of our characters have different magical abilities, which I love. Honestly, there was a lot I loved about it. The ending kind of made me question things. I was kind of like, okay, is this how we end? And I've heard really mixed things about the rest of the series, so I'm a little bit nervous to go into the rest of the series. I do think there's a good chance that I will enjoy it. So this one's a 50-50, but probably yes. I do think I can continue this series in the future. I don't want to leave it too long because then I think I might forget what happened in this book. But I do love Olivia Blake's writing. I've loved every other book I've read by her. So I think there's a good chance I'll have fun. I've just seen a lot of people say it goes downhill pretty quickly. So I'm a little bit nervous to continue this one. I guess that's what's making me a little bit hesitant. Obviously, when you look up popular fantasy series, basically the first 3 series are by Sarah J. Maas. So I have read the ACOTAR series, Throne of Glass series, but I haven't finished the Crescent City series. I feel like I've been pretty open and honest with you guys about the fact that I am not the biggest Sarah J. Maas fan in the world. I certainly enjoy her books, don't get me wrong, but I'm not like obsessed with them. They're not 6-star reads for me. There are definitely fantasy series and characters I connect to more than the Sarah J Maas series. Throne of Glass is definitely my favorite, then ACOTAR, and then the Crescent City series. I actually really liked the first one. It's an urban fantasy, so I did really like that setting. We are following Bryce, and one day her world kind of comes crashing down. She loses a lot of people she loves. I didn't love Bryce as a main protagonist, so I think that did definitely hinder my experience for the whole thing. I wasn't connecting to her as much as I hoped I would. I also did not like the love situation, the romance line in this one either. And I do think that can really affect my experience. However, I loved the world. So I actually really liked the first book in this series. I had a fun time reading it. I flew through it considering how big it is. And considering this is the first book in the series, it's very long. So I did really fly through it and I really enjoyed it. However, the second book in the series was probably one of the slowest books I have ever read. But like there were definitely little bits of information that you got throughout the book, but nothing important happened until like the last 100 pages. I felt like so much could have been cut out of that. Like I am just being completely honest right now. I was so bored for a lot of it, but then the ending was crazy. So I do have the third book. I bought it a good year ago. And I still haven't read it. Again, just kind of nervous to go into this one. I feel like I've seen a lot of mixed reviews. I don't know. I think I'm just going to be like in a 50-50 zone. I don't think I'll hate it by any means because I don't have crazy expectations going in, but I don't think it'll be my favorite book by her. Just because I don't love the romance line as well. There's not a lot that's intriguing me. But as I said, the ending was kind of crazy. So I am that little bit curious. I do think I'll get to it. It's just a very long book and I've had other books. I've kind of been prioritizing. Like I have my long books in a little section in my mind, my longest books on my TBR, and I kind of slowly work my way through them. At the moment, I've been working my way through some other really long books on my TBR, and that one has just never been on top of that list. So I'll get to it. I promise I'll get to it. So I am going to continue the series. It's going to take a minute. Next, we have my newest obsession, and that is The Will of the Many. Guys, I cannot communicate effectively enough how good this book is. This was insane. So I will definitely be continuing this series. I believe the second one actually comes out in like a few days, maybe a week. I'm going to be reading it immediately. Like I'm going to be running to that bookstore. I am obsessed with this book. I cannot quite describe how incredible it was. Felt so refreshing to have a high fantasy that had this completely different magic system, completely different political system to what I was used to. So I will always recommend this book. If you don't know what The Will of the Many is, we are following Viz. He has been an orphan for most of his life, kind of living it pretty rough. He gets adopted into this quite highly ranked family. So in this world, there is a ranking system, kind of pyramid system. Each tier's will feeds upwards. So the people at the bottom of the pyramid, they basically have no will, which because it feeds up to the people above them. And then those people's will feeds upwards. The higher you get on this pyramid, the more will you have, the more will you possess. Will is basically mental and physical strengths, I would best describe it as. It is quite hard to get your head around this magic system at first. It does take a little bit of effort. It takes a lot of thinking. It takes a bit to understand how it like impacts the world physically because it kind of powers a lot of substances. Like, I don't know, it powers a lot. It acts as like an energy for things to work in a sense, or security measures or whatever. Like it impacts a lot in this world, not just the person that receives the will. It's very confusing to explain, but once you get your head around it, it is truly incredible and honestly not a dull moment in this. I've seen some people say it was a little bit slow moving at times, but personally, I didn't think so. My favorite parts were definitely at the academy. We do have an academy setting in this. I absolutely loved that. I thought it was absolutely amazing. Literally cannot recommend this enough. Sorry, that's Maisie down there. If you can see the legs, where are you? There you are. Oh, sorry. But yeah, immediately we'll be continuing this series as soon as possible. If you're in the early phases of this book and you're like, oh, I don't understand what's going on, I don't know how to get past this bit, just do it. Once you were like 200 pages into this book, I guarantee you will not be able to put it down. And the ending, you will not see coming from a mile away. Reference my vlog if you need to see my reaction because, oh my God, I've never been so starstruck by an ending. Next, we're going to briefly mention the Zodiac Academy because obviously this is one of the most popular series on BookTok, on BookTube. So many people love this series and I'm so happy for them. But this just was not a series I could get behind. But I've talked about this a lot, so I won't be like delving into it. I also just don't like hating on books. That's just not what I like to do. So this one I won't be continuing. I'm going to be DNFing this series. It has taken me a little bit to be like, I am going to DNF it because so many people have told me that, oh, by the third or fourth book, you're going to be absolutely obsessed with it. The first two, and I read half of the third maybe. They were really painful for me to get through. I do get that it is very addictive kind of writing. It was very easy to read. It kind of felt like watching a TV show like Vampire Diaries or something to me. I didn't like the tropes we were centered around. I didn't like our characters. Like I didn't like one of our characters. I think the only aspect I kind of liked about this, the elemental magic. So your zodiac will kind of help you connect with a certain element. Pretty simple elemental magic if you're used to that. Anyway, I'm not gonna like hate on it, but there was nothing that I liked enough to be continuing it. Again, I can't talk about popular series without talking about the Fourth Wing series. I actually don't hate this series by any means. I think it's a really fun series, but I am not quite as obsessed with it as a lot of people are. I kind of thought I would be, because it's like set in academy. I love an academy setting. We have dragons. Like you all know what Fourth Wing's about. I don't need to explain it to you. But there are a lot of elements that I thought I was going to love about it. But the main characters, again, it's the characters, guys. If I don't like the characters, I will have a really hard time connecting to the book enough to like continue it. So yeah, I didn't love Xaden. I didn't love Violet. I liked some of our side characters, and I have read all the books that are out at the moment. Will I continue this? I don't know. I think the only way I could continue this is if I like reread Iron Flame and Onyx Storm before the next one came out, because truly I had to do like recaps of Iron Flame because it really just left my mind as soon as I'd read it. Before I read Onyx Storm, I can only kind of remember the main points that happened in Onyx Storm. And I do think it is one of those series that if you can pick up on the tiny little aspects that get mentioned in the next books or the following books, I think you'd enjoy it a lot more. So I do really appreciate that aspect of it, but yeah, it would be something I needed to commit to. So at the moment it's a DNF. That it could be changed. I may be influenced when everyone else reads the next book in this series, but at the moment I just don't have a strong desire to. So I really didn't expect that, but I just have thought about it a lot recently, and I just don't think it's a series for me. The next series is Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. This is the Stormlight Archive by Brandon Sanderson. I am happy to say I am already continuing this series. I read this first book a few months ago, and I have just started today, Words of Radiance by Brandon Sanderson. I don't know if you guys know, but that is also one of the highest rated books on Goodreads. That is crazy. It's over 1,000 pages and it is that highly rated. Like I'm going to put the rating up on the screen. Like it's like a 4.7 or something like that. If you guys are Goodreads users, you know that that's a pretty high rating, like an average rating, especially for the amount of people who have read it. So yes, I would definitely be continuing the Stormlight Archive. If you don't know what the Stormlight Archive is about, this is probably the biggest series. No, it is the biggest series in the Cosmere by Brandon Sanderson. He has a lot of interconnected series. In this one, we are following, I would say like 4 primary characters. We are following Cal, who is like this soldier turned slave. We are following Dalinar. We are following, oh my gosh, I can't remember her name. Hang on. Shallan, I think her name is. We have so many perspectives. That's why I had to like tab this whole book, because it takes a lot out of you remembering all these perspectives on top of all of our character perspectives. We also have these interludes. We get little perspectives from characters from either other books in the Cosmere or just random other characters that I'm guessing are going to be important later in the series. It's a very confusing political book. The plot basically just follows a war. I would say that's the best way to describe it. It's a very intense read, but it is the best read. Like it is so good, and I am so excited to work my way onto Words of Radiance. I think it's going to be a journey and a half, but I think it's going to be worth it. And don't worry, I will be vlogging every single second. So yeah, I'm very excited to continue this series, and I think it's worth every single page so far. I will update you. I just love Brandon Sanderson's writing. I think it is wonderful. The next series I wanted to talk about is Quicksilver by, actually, who is this by? I've already forgotten. By Callie Hart. I read this about a year ago, and I know the next book's coming out very, very soon. It's called Brimstone. I am very 50-50 on whether I will continue to the next book, because whilst I did like Quicksilver more than I expected to, I think what definitely influenced that opinion is that I went in with pretty mild expectations. I didn't think I was going to be obsessed with it. I actually thought I was going to hate it. Like I'd just seen so much hype on this book, and so many of you had been like, Freya, I really want you to read it and give me your opinion. And I think that's why I liked it more than I expected to. I didn't really expect to be as addicted to it as I was. And there were definitely some characters that I did really, really enjoy. The one thing, and I've said this so many times, if you're a real one, you know, I can't get used to the name being Kingfisher. Every time I hear Kingfisher, I think of a bird. I cannot help it. It makes it really hard for me. Literally, if his name was Fisher, that would be easier. And when they refer to him as Fisher, it's okay. It's really, really hard to get behind Kingfisher. This did feel like kind of every other romantic book I've read as well, but in a good way. I don't know how to explain it, but our main protagonist is kind of taken into this magical empire castle situation. And I am kind of curious to see where this book goes. I don't think it's like an immediate continue, but I do think if I need a quick romantasy read, especially like on a holiday, I read this when I was on holiday. So if I can read this like on a holiday at a beach, or I don't know, maybe like cuddled up on the couch when I just want a mindless fun romantasy, I think I'll read it then. I'm not like itching to read it. It's going to take a bit of convincing for me to get to it. If like everyone's raving about how incredibly good it is, I will pick it up. But yeah, this one's a little 50-50 for me as well. I feel like I'm having some not as concrete answers because I'm a very indecisive person. Another book that we are getting a continuation in is the When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. Now, I feel like some people really didn't like this book. I loved it. I would love to reread this one before the next one comes out. But I personally thought this was like the absolute perfect balance of plot, romance, politics, adventure. Like, I just thought it was an incredible balance in a fantasy romance. I particularly love when fantasy romances don't feel like every other fantasy romance. So this one had some really unique mythical creatures, and I really, really liked that. I really loved that aspect. So I would like highly recommend it for that reason. I think this was super, super fun. I love Sarah A. Parker's writing. She's also from Australia, which I'm obsessed. I actually thought we were going to be getting the second book in this series like around now, but it's been pushed back until next year. Honestly, the cover gives off the vibes. I think the cover just describes this book perfectly. I don't really understand the hate towards this one. I'm kind of confused. I thought it was a really great read. The politics and fantasy and world building were definitely a little bit more intense in this one than your typical romantasy, but as I said, I personally love that. So each to their own, but I was obsessed. The next book is, and one of the almost last books on our list, is the Lightlark series by Alex Aster. I actually read this series ridiculously quick. I don't usually get through series this quickly. Originally, I thought this was going to be a trilogy. I read the first 3 books. There are actually going to be more books in this series. There's going to be a saga. I don't know if we're following the exact same protagonist. No. Well, yeah, we'd have to be with the ending of that last book. Everyone knows that a big theme in Lightlark is love triangle. Love triangle is like my least favorite trope of all time. I am yet to read a love triangle that I am obsessed with or just enjoy. I usually will read a love triangle and just get past it, just because I love our characters or I love our plot. The love triangle's just there and I have to work past it. It's never I'm reading a book for a love triangle. So if this love triangle continues in the next book, I will not be reading it because, oh my God, girl, pick a guy. I did like the plot surrounding this. I thought it was actually really, really fun, especially for a YA fantasy series. We are following Isla. In the world we are set in, every 100 years, the island of Lightlark appears, and for 100 days, it hosts an incredibly deadly game where basically the rulers of the 6 different realms that there are in this world fight to break their deadly curses. And we are following Isla, who competes in this competition. I actually really liked that aspect of it. I really like a high stakes kind of trials competition vibe. I think that's really, really fun. So I actually sped through this series. Like, it's a very easy series to read, and I know it gets a lot of hate, but I don't hate it that much, to be honest. If there was no love triangle, I would probably really highly recommend this series. It's the love triangle that I can't get behind. The actual world, I think, is really fun. This is a YA series, so I think if you go in knowing that, you go in expecting like a pretty simple world, but a fun world, you'll have a really good time. Don't think I will continue this series if we do focus on the love triangle, which I feel like we will. I feel like there's no denying that. But yeah, anyway. The last book on this list is the Ninth House series. I'm talking about this one especially because the next book has just been announced, or like the cover reveal or whatever. So if you know me, Leigh Bardugo is a favorite author of mine. She wrote the Grishaverse, and that is like, it's like a cement part of my reading journey. It created my obsession for YA fantasy, basically. Six of Crows, one of my favorite duologies of all time. However, I just think my expectations going into Ninth House were really, really unfair. Thinking it was going to be a YA series, kind of like Six of Crows vibes, but like a dark academia setting. Please look up trigger warnings before you go into this. This was so much more intense than I thought it was going to be. For that reason, I will not be continuing this series. I read the first book and it was hard to get through, honestly. Loved the writing, loved the atmosphere, loved the like secret society vibes. Did not like how intense this book was. Also just didn't love our characters. This just took me by surprise. Was not what I was expecting. I won't talk about this too much because I feel like I've talked about it quite a bit. But yeah, unfortunately that wasn't for me, and it made me so sad because I love Leigh Bardugo. Like, I was so excited to be obsessed with another series of hers, and I know a lot of people are obsessed with this. Just don't go in expecting a YA dark academia and then you'll be fine, I'm sure. But yeah, those are all the books we're going to be talking about today. I hope this kind of helped you form an idea of what you want to continue, and just it was a fun little chatty sit down video. I hope you enjoyed. Also, just as a little ending note, a little fun ending note, I wanted to announce that I'm going to be doing Bookmas this year. I am super, super excited to be doing it. Already have planned all my content and I cannot wait to be seeing you guys pretty much every day. I think I'm going to be doing every second day in December just to spread out my videos a little bit, because I personally find it quite intense when I'm like scrolling through my feeds and every single person I know has posted posted every single day for 12 days. So what I'm going to be doing is posting every second day. So the first, the third, the fifth, everything like that. And hopefully that'll give you a little bit of variety. You'll see me in your inbox every second day, which I feel like will be fun. I'm really excited. I hope you guys are excited about that. I personally am. Can't believe Christmas is creeping up on us already. It's crazy. Thank you so much for watching to the end of this video. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in my next video.